My name is Chris Cooper, and this is the state of the fitness industry. Diversifying increases your value. Now, I'm going to add a caveat here because when I wrote Two Brain Business, the original book, and I said you should diversify, and then I gave a list of like 30 different ways to diversify, what I meant was pick one or two of these ways, get really excellent at it, and you'll have an anti fragile business. Unfortunately, the way that I wrote it sounded like I was saying you need to do 30 things to have a diverse anti fragile business. That's not the case. Again, you need four pillars: personal training, nutrition coaching, group training, and online coaching. Let's talk about revenue. Where are gyms making money? Group training, personal training, nutrition, or online. These are the four pillars that hold up your nutrition platform or your fitness platform. Okay. Again, group training, personal training, nutrition coaching, and online training. Most of the gyms that responded to us offer some kind of group training. 92% of yoga studios offered a group training membership. 100% of CrossFit gyms did, of course. 100% of MMA gyms did. 76% of personal training gyms did, which is interesting. 100% of strength and conditioning gyms did, et cetera. Let's talk about the average cost of a membership. Now, this isn't broken down by area, by geography. It's not broken down by demographic. But what's really interesting here is that the excuses that I hear for low membership prices are usually blamed on demographics or geography. I live in the lowest income, blah, blah, blah of blah, blah, blah. I hear that a lot. But in that same postal code, zip code, you're going to find a gym that's charging way more. If your rates were really determined by geography or demographic, everybody would be charging the same in your geography or demographic, or everybody would just leave that geography or demographic and go open a gym somewhere else where they could make a decent living. But that isn't happening. So you can't blame your low rates on geography or your demographics. That said, the median cost for an unlimited group membership across all categories is $155. And the median cost for an unlimited CrossFit group membership is also $155. The highest median membership is for yoga, which is $197 a month. And the lowest median was for these very gyms who offer a bunch of different type of classes, but they also sell 24-hour access or whatever. Their median is only $130 a month. Let's talk about what percentage of a gym's revenue comes from group training. So in yoga, about 62% of their revenue comes from group training. Now, they might be doing some one-on-one, but more likely they're selling retail. They're doing apparel, they're doing maybe supplements. 77% of average revenue in a CrossFit gym comes from group training. They're more likely to be selling personal training or nutrition, some other more private, higher value coaching service than supplements, but that is an opportunity. In martial arts, it's 84%. Personal training, though, only 46% of their revenue comes from group training. That's super interesting to me. Let's talk about the percentage of gyms that are offering personal training by segment. Yoga, 83% of these boutiques are offering some kind of personal training. CrossFit gyms, 93% are offering personal training. Now, to say that you're offering personal training doesn't necessarily mean that you're selling a lot. It just means that that option exists in your billing software on your website. It doesn't mean that you have a single personal training client. It just means that you're willing to sell it if somebody asks for it. 100% of martial arts gyms offer personal training. Personal training gyms, of course, all of them. And these varied gyms, 90% of them offer personal training. So if you own a varied gym where you're selling access to equipment, like a Globo gym, adding personal training is a really solid move to your revenue stream. But here's where things get interesting. Even though close to 100% of these gyms are offering personal training, the revenue that they make from personal training is extremely low. So first, the average price of a 60-minute personal training session across all segments is $72. Where I am, the Globo gyms with the trainers who have taken a weekend online course, They're charging $125 per hour. Are they better than the trainers at my gym? No way. How are they charging more? They're charging more because they have an audience who will pay for more. And that's the key here. If you can get an audience who will pay for more, then you will make more money from personal training. You should be charging more than the less educated, high school or college kid who's just passionate about fitness. The average revenue that gyms make from personal training is low. Yoga studios make about 29% of their revenue from personal training. CrossFit gyms make about 20% of their revenue from personal training, which is actually a fairly good number. Martial arts gyms make less, about 5%. But personal training gyms, where their primary service is selling one-on-one training, they make about 57% of their revenue from personal training. So where does the rest of the revenue come from? It's selling training plans. It's selling online coaching. It's selling supplements. There might be a little bit of retail there. Varied gyms. So this is really interesting. So varied gyms, only 90% of varied gyms selling access or just memberships come in and use the equipment, 90% of them sell personal training. 10% don't, but 42% of their revenue comes from personal training, which means that if you own a facility like this where you're selling access, all you're really doing is creating a pool, and you should be focused on selling more personal training, more coaching. And that's why we mentor gyms on coaching and selling coaching in groups, one-on-one, nutrition, and online. Now let's talk about nutrition coaching. So across all categories, 69% of respondents offer nutrition coaching. Nutrition coaching is most common in CrossFit gyms and yoga gyms, in which 75% of each offer some kind of nutrition coaching program. Personal training gyms, only 48% offer a nutrition coaching option. And many of the personal training gyms that reported offering nutrition coaching said the cost of this coaching is $0, which means they're offering it, but not as a separate service. They're just including a diet plan or whatever with their personal training. So this is really interesting because now we have all of these gyms, 75% of gyms across the board offering a nutrition coaching option, even if it's unpaid. But the amount of money they're making from their nutrition coaching is very, very low. So I said that 75% of yoga gyms offer nutrition coaching, but only 2% of their revenue comes from nutrition coaching. 75% of CrossFit gyms offer nutrition coaching, but only 6% of their revenue comes from nutrition coaching. This is crazy because if you're a CrossFit gym and you look at like the pyramid of fitness, the base is nutrition. If we followed that pyramid, the hierarchy of fitness to build our businesses, we would all have nutrition shops with a squat rack in the back parking lot. But that's not how it plays out. We say that we prioritize nutrition and healthy living, but the revenue doesn't lie. We don't prioritize it. We prioritize selling the fun thing, which is group coaching. And that's where our revenue is coming from. So if there's a big opportunity that really, is a flashing green light for you in this data, it's this. If you're selling nutrition coaching, you should find a way to make more revenue from it because that's the service that's going to change a client's life long-term. All right. The median price for nutrition coaching per month across all segments is $110. Now that's also not a bad price, right? Especially if this is an add-on service. So why are gyms selling so little of it? Well, there's a couple of reasons. And on our podcast in the future, we'll have Lindsay Van Schoik. He's our nutrition business specialist talking about what those reasons are. Part of the reasons is selling challenges with no continuity instead of kickstarts. Part of it is throwing nutrition in as an add-on or a short-term challenge again to people who are used to paying for exercise instead of building nutrition into your program, into your on-ramp. All right, let's talk about online coaching. Now, before 2020, if we had said who's offering online coaching, these numbers would have been dramatically different. But after 2020, 63% of businesses offer online coaching. That's super important because that was really the only pivot that anyone could make in 2020 was to move online. So yoga studios, 73% offered online coaching. Um, CrossFit, 64% offered online coaching. Martial arts, only 25% did. The rest, I guess, just chose to close. Personal training gyms, only 69% offered online coaching. And varied gyms, only 60% could offer anything online, because when you're selling access and access is removed or limited, you've got nothing to sell. So I will say this: most gyms weren't selling online coaching before COVID. But a lot of gyms stopped selling online coaching when COVID ended. When you do that, your clients will have a low value perception of online coaching because they see it as a band-aid service that only temporarily replaced the real thing they were paying for. At my gym, we were very careful from the outset to say the value of online coaching, the one-on-one attention, the accountability is higher than you would get in person with group. And that's why it's priced higher than our group membership. And after COVID ended and our gyms were allowed to reopen for a short period anyway, we said, would you prefer to remain in online coaching? Here's the price. And we actually found that a big percentage of our clients stayed online. In fact, one of my trainers decided she was only going to work online from now on. So if we look at the average percentage of revenue from online training, we find that it's similar to nutrition, that boutique and yoga, they're making like 2% of their revenue from online training. This could be because they offered online training for free, or they did it on Instagram or something like that, or they charged a discounted rate. CrossFit gyms are the highest segment, and they are making about 6% of their revenue after reopening on online coaching still. Now that makes sense because that is a high degree of one-on-one customization. And you see the same numbers really in personal training gyms where they have a strong relationship with their client. About 5% of their revenue continuing to come from online tells me that a good percentage of their high value clients prefer to stay online, or at least mix that into a flex model. Let's talk about supplements. This was surprising to me, and it really falls along the same line as nutrition and online coaching. Most gyms are selling supplements. Most gyms are not selling very many supplements, not enough to account for a big portion of their revenue. So, for example, 54% of gyms across the study were selling supplements, but the average percentage of revenue from their supplements was 3, and that's gross. So the average amount of profit might be like 1. Your clients are probably taking supplements. In my first books, I said, don't sell supplements, but it wasn't because they weren't going to help your clients. It was because there were sketchy supplements out there. But of course, coach, you can find the good ones. The real reason was that their profit margin was so low that you would invest $1,000 in supplement inventory. You would make maybe $100 profit on that 1,000 if none of it expired before you sold it. Now it's a completely different story. Companies like Driven, for example, have flipped that model on its head, where you're not carrying an inventory and you're making a 30% profit selling a good product. So now there's no excuse not to sell the supplements that your clients are buying. Even if you're a CrossFit, holistic, whatever, and you don't believe in supplement sales. I mean, Greg Glassman's earliest treatise on nutrition said he prescribed fish oil to his clients. And now, whey protein or casein, I mean, you might prescribe that to a client if that's what a client needs, or a multivitamin, whatever, right? So it was pretty interesting to see a lot of gyms selling supplements, but not really. And kids classes are similar. So 46% of yoga gyms sell kids classes, 47% of CrossFit gyms, 100% of martial arts gyms, because they know that kids classes are so scalable. Personal training gyms, only about 17% sell kids classes. And that's because most of them don't do group at all. But overall, 44% of businesses offer kids classes. Let's talk about the value of the gym compared to the revenue structure. So what we want to look at here is like diversity of revenue streams compared to the value of the overall gym. This is really important because if you're trying to sell a gym, if you can show some diversity in your revenue streams, your gym is going to be worth more. If all you're selling is group coaching, you're probably going to have a higher churn rate, a lower ARM, a lower LEG, and so your valuation is going to be lower. If you can say something like, well, we have personal training that accounts for 20% of our revenue, that shows that you're less fragile and more attractive to a potential buyer. So let's talk about value of a gym compared to the revenue streams that they have. Now, these are owner estimated value. I would hope that these people have gone through our gym valuation calculator that's for free on our site, but they might just be estimating it. So I've got 4 categories here. Gyms in which the owner estimated that the value was between $0 and $60,000. Gyms where the owner estimated the value of the gym to be between $60,000 and $122,000. Gyms where the owner estimated the value to be between $122,000 and $250,000. And gyms where the owner estimated the value to be worth over $250,000, over $250,000. As revenue became more diverse, you found that the value of the gym went up.